time for the guided practice. So, number 1 and number 2 are do you understand? Number 3 through number 8 are do you know how? So this one we're solving. Over here are some word problems. I would always recommend getting this done first, checking the wall, making sure you understand, and then moving on to the rest. Also, I would recommend looking at the playlist because chances are when there's this many problems, you don't have to do them all. So look at the playlist for guidance on that. All right, number 1. What is the difference between multiplying a whole number by a decimal and multiplying 2 whole numbers? So, difference. Multiplying whole numbers and decimals. So if we have decimal times number versus number times number. I should put whole number. Whole numbers. Okay. So on the decimal side, you'll have to remember the decimal point when you find your answer. You must put a decimal in your answer. Okay, you can't forget about the decimal point. I'm going to zoom it a little bit. Whereas for whole numbers, no need to worry about a decimal point. About where the decimal goes. Make sure that wherever you decide to put your decimal point, it is so that the answer is reasonable. All right. So number 2 says, if a group bought 24 tickets, how much money would go to charity? Explain how you found your answer. So sometimes this goes back to the previous question. So in the previous question, we learned that they get 15 cents per ticket. So my equation could be 24 times 0.15 equals, I don't know, M for money going to charity. Now to solve this, and I'm going to switch over because I think it's hard to see my purple marker for some reason. To solve this, there we go. I'm going to do 24 times 15. I'm going to ignore the decimal point at first. I know it goes here, but I don't need to worry about it until the end. So 4 times 5 is 20, carry the 2. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. Then I drop my 0. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2, and now I can add. 0 and 0, 2 and 4 is 6, 2 and 1 is 3. Now this is hard to see. I'm going to bring it back up here. I would suggest maybe getting some scrap paper for this if you can't write small enough. But my answer is 360 if I'm multiplying 24 times 15. But really I'm multiplying 24 times 15 cents because there are 2 numbers behind the decimal in my problem. I need to have 2 in my answer. So my answer is $3.60. All right, let's try another one. 9 and 8 tenths times 2. 8 times 2 is 16. Carry the 1. 9 times 2 is 18 plus 1 is 19. 98 times 2 is 196. But this is 9 and 8 tenths. Because there is 1 number behind my decimal in my problem, I need to have 1 number behind my decimal in my product. So my decimal goes right there, 19 and 6 tenths. All right, now we have, oh dear, 67 times 8, or 67 hundredths times 8. So I ignore the decimal and put it in at the end. 8 times 7 is 56, carry the 5. 6 times 8 is 48, plus 5 is 53. Now this time, I have a decimal that is 1/100th the size of 67. So my answer also has to be 1/100th the size. And if you might say, whoa, what are you talking about? Let me just show you the trick. It's easy. I have 1, 2 numbers behind the decimal in my problem. My answer has to have 1, 2 numbers behind the decimal in my answer. So this will be 5 and 36 hundredths. All right. I do want to look at some problems down here, because these are all 2 by 2s, 2 by 2, 2 by 2, 2 by 2, 2 by 2. But what happens when you get to a problem like 18 and you need to line it up? In multiplication of decimals, the longer number goes on top. Okay, we wrote this in our notes in class. So I actually have to take 914 first and multiply that by 50 in order to solve. So really a decimal point goes here. Okay, I can put this 0 in, but it really doesn't matter. So 0 times all these numbers is going to be 0. So I'm just going to put a 0 in my tens place, and I can start with my 5. 5 times 4 is 20, carry the 2. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. 9 times 5 is 45. And then 5 times 0 is 0, so I'm not going to do that one. Now on this one, I have 3 numbers behind the decimal in my problem. Because it's in the thousandths place, I also need my answer to be in the thousandths place. So it's going to end up being 45 and 7/10, which is also equivalent to 45 and 700 thousandths. And let's just do, 2 more. This one, this is a topic 1 skill, or lesson 1 skill. If I'm multiplying by 100, I should just move it over twice and be done with it. Make it easy. Work smarter, not harder. And then this is the last one I wanted to do. So technically this number looks longer, but really this is just 3. It's just 3 thousandths. So I'm just going to put 170 on top times 3. It's okay to pretend like the decimals aren't there at first and just multiply. 3 times 0, 3 times 7, carry the 2, 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. Then go back and put in your decimals. Okay, so I'm supposed to have 3 numbers behind my decimal in my answer because there were 3 in my problem. So this is going to be 0 and 510 thousandths, which makes sense because 170 times something really close to 0 is going to be really close to 0. Okay, and here we are. All right, hopefully that was helpful. I do think you could do the rest of these up here by yourself. And then I do want you to try these. If you want to try them and check them with a calculator, go for it. But just be honest with yourself and make sure that you are focusing on placing the decimal correctly, and the practice will be well spent. All right, good luck.